Liz. Good morning.
Good morning. Get myself situated here. Yeah. Oh, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. It's been really warm here, but I'll tell you that heat pump has been just great. It's kept us around 74, 78, which is just fine.
Oh, yeah.
So we've been fine. It's not
Good.
been too cold. It's just been great. Yeah, I like it as an air conditioner very much. It's not cold and invasive like the others are. You're always cold. I mean, you want to be cool, but you're always cold. There's just something not comfortable about it. And the heat pump is really comfortable. It just keeps you at the right temperature. So it's great.
Heat pump.
Yeah. It's a way of connecting to the um, temperature of the earth because so many inches down, it stays at the same temperature. It's like 55 all the time. And so you can use it to both heat and cool. And so it takes it from the earth. It's not, doesn't generate like a furnace does, which makes fire to make it warm. This does not do that. I'm not exactly sure what the whole mechanism is, but it uses the heat from the earth to actually balance you. So there's an energy use, which is making that happen, but it's way less than a furnace. So it's cut my energy bill probably 40%.
Wow.
Yeah. And it does both heating and cooling at the same time. It's the same thing. You just ask it to cool or to warm you, and it does either one. Or just air. You can just get a fan. So it's more versatile, I think. It doesn't permeate the house in the same way that having heat in every room does.
Yeah.
So it kind of blows it through the house. So you kind of get my bedroom is way warmer than it would otherwise be and cooler in the winter, which is okay by me, except when it's my office, then it's not so happy. But yeah, and it's just how the air flows through your house. And I think if you had 2 stories, you probably need 2 heat pumps because it wouldn't go upstairs. It's not strong enough to do that. But so it's yeah, a newer technology to reduce energy use and all of that. Yeah.
Good. You
Yeah.
found something that works.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it does pretty well. It doesn't heat as well as I have no, I can't remember the name of the heat, but the 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 heat things are long radiators that are in every room and they're wonderful. I mean, I was so in love with that heat source because it just permeates. And so there's no hot and cold spots. I mean, I remember standing in front of the heater, where it came out of the floor in Michigan because it was so cold and the rest of the room was really not very warm. And this isn't that way. It just permeates everything. It's beautiful heat and it's very expensive.
Oh,
So I had heat bills of $300 and $400 in the winter. Um, so this eliminates that, which is good.
well, and part of it is you live in California.
No, I live in Washington. I'm
Oh,
in
okay.
Spokane.
That's right.
Yeah, so it gets cold here. Um, but and the heat pump is not as good as the heat I had before, but it's way cheaper and it's certainly sufficient. I mean, you can always put stuff on if you're cold. You can always put a sweater on or something. That's not a big deal. So, yeah.
All I had to do was move to Santa Barbara. Perfect. All the time.
Good afternoon, Robert.
Hey there.
Afternoon. So, how is everybody?
A-okay.
We are talking.
Yeah, fine and dandy.
We're talking about heat pumps.
Well, and and how blessed I am to be living in Santa Barbara. That's my part. 'Cause it's lovely here all the time.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
You know, I talked to my family in Indianapolis, and I just, because I love them and I miss them, but the weather here is such that this is where I want to live.
Yeah.
Every day of the year you can walk. You know, you don't slip on ice.
Yeah.
I feel quite fortunate. Oh, I'm doing my laundry today. It's actually done. Just hasn't been put away yet. Oh, so what's new for each of you? And I'm trying to look at that for me too.
Well, it is very interesting. I've been trying to find out what's going on with this so-called cancerous, tissue, lymph areas for a couple of months now. And it seems to be as elusive as can be. I was supposed to have I've had one biopsy, but it was just a surface thing. I was supposed to have another one this morning, but there was a major global attack on, and evidently city of Atlanta has tapped into that. So in many ways, so
Software glitch.
so they had to cancel
Yeah, they canceled surgeries here too.
because nothing was available. And so it's just
So
fun.
the issue is your lymph system.
Well, when they did a PET scan, that was what should I say, specific to prostate cancer. The cancer cells produced it during a prostate cancer event. They showed up in the prostate, but also in various lymph nodes around the prostate.
Okay, all right.
And so I was told that, well, we don't know what to do with this until we find out if it's truly prostate cancer cells, because they might be from the colon cancer, which I had as well.
Mm.
So we've been waiting and waiting and waiting to try to figure this all out. Meanwhile, I mean, I'm feeling a little bit more tired than I think I should, but other than that, I'm in great shape. So who knows what's going on?
Yeah.
Now, there's another thing that if you think it's at all appropriate, I would like to share with you. A friend of mine is a part of a spearheading group that's putting together this thing called the Founding Mothers Movement.
Mm.
And the way I understand it, it's to accentuate the power of women.
Mm.
Yes.
Not just to, get men to hem and haw and say, "Oh yeah, well, I no," but it's more directed at women to understand their power. If you're at all interested, I mean, I have some things I could share. I could send you by email, but one of them is the.
You can share your screen too if you'd like.
Well, it's a 4-minute video.
Oh, you should be able to do that.
Very touching.
Oh, do it.
So if you're going to share the video, when you do share video, there's a button that says about sound, and you want to make sure that box is clicked so we can hear your sound.
Yeah, I know how to do it, but
Okay, perfect.
I would love to, because I'd love to see it again. And a friend of mine is part of the spearheading group. I don't know how much she was involved with actual initiation, but she's totally gung ho about it. And from the looks of this, the video is extremely well done. And I don't think my friend came up with the lucre, to pay.
Yeah.
So I don't know who all's involved, but did you make me a co-sponsor?
Hey, yeah, you should be able to do it. I always have it open.
All right, let's see. Oh yeah, it is. So share sound. Screen 2. Share sound. You see?
Here you are. Yep.
And
Okay.
men around the world are celebrating the birth of the Founding Mothers movement to secure universal rights for all women and to end war. Simply put, we've had enough of patriarchy and privilege. We will no longer tolerate family violence, sexual assault, child marriage, girls who can't go to school or let their hair down, men depriving us of reproductive freedom, or sacrilege against Mother Earth. The military-industrial complex trains men to kill on command. They're also weaponizing AI. Soldiers rape women as a staple of war, and surviving women and children are left homeless. The founding fathers of every nation have brought us to where we are. Now, the founding mothers are joining together to lead us into an era of partnership and peace, a future that works for everyone. We're a global coalition, uniting women's groups, peace organizations, spiritual communities, and environmental groups. We're taking action to shed archaic belief systems, transform barbaric behaviors, eradicate misogyny and racism, and protect democracy. Instead of a war room, we're building a peace room. And we're spreading truth, love, and light. We serve as diplomats and peace negotiators, business leaders, elected officials, caregivers, and wisdom keepers. And we've got a concrete plan to grow this into the mother of all movements. First, we wish to honor the Mother's Day proclamation written by Julia Ward Howe. Mother's Day was not created for gift cards and chocolates. It was a call to action for an international Congress of Women to pursue the great and general interest of peace. Second, we're reimagining the Women's Congress. It will network thousands of women's groups around the world. Third, in addition to unifying our sisters around the world, we're inviting our brothers to join us. Stakeholders who lead peace, spiritual, and environmental groups. Just imagine our united strength when we, the people, organize. We'll move mountains if we focus on two specific goals: partnership and peace. Please join the Founding Mothers movement today. If you lead a women's organization, register for our online Women's Congress and help compose the Founding Mothers Manifesto. If you lead a peace, spiritual, or environmental group, enroll your organization in the coalition and help transition humanity from patriarchy to partnership. And if you're an individual who understands that our future is at stake, sign up for our mailing list, donate, volunteer your skill set, and be ready for a series of escalating campaigns starting on January the 1st, 2025. Join the Founding Mothers movement and help transform the world.
There they are. There's all the people.
Hiya, hiya, hiya.
That's great, Robert.
Thank you.
I will send you a synopsis as a PDF, and then I'll send the link to that if you wish to reuse
Sure.
it.
Yes.
But, and I bring this up for a point. Another friend of mine is actually the spiritual, he calls himself the spiritual director of the Emissaries, which was the group that I was trained with. So my friend Laura sent me an email that was actually to him, but I was copied. And so I wrote to him. I mean, I replied all and said, you know, this, for me, this isn't about activism. I'm not much of an activist anyway. But I said, what it is it complements, you know, the foremost dream in my heart, which is that all of humanity is going to be represented and, you know, honored, you know, in this coming time. And that as a species, as a, you know, as a unified species, we will step forth in the role that we were meant to play. Now, I know that any emissary would hear that and know what I'm talking about, which in the Bible is called the one body. You know, it's, I'm really glad she's doing it. By the way, when they showed the Peace Pentagon, that was her chapel.
Ah,
But this is a much bigger thing than her, but she has, I guess, donated that chapel for the use of,
nice.
but I don't know what else, how deeply she's involved in it, except that she's a powerhouse.
And her name is what?
Well, it's Laura, and I'm spacing out on the last name. Sorry, I don't carry these things in my mind.
But it's Founding Fathers movement on
Founding mothers.
Founding Mothers
I
movement.
mean, I don't know why my mind is there.
So it's Reverend Laura George.
George?
Yeah, as the name.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I think that's what I forgot. I was just entitled my emails Laura. But anyway, you know, and I'm going to send this to Virginia and a few other that, you know, I think this is well worth being aware of.
It is.
Yeah.
It's time for humanity globally to be inspired. And it is women who can do that now.
Yeah. And it's particularly, I mean, especially after last night's, you know, Republican National Convention, which is just incredibly divisive.
Yeah.
And, you know, just everything about it is not, is not attractive to women's, you know.
Yeah, no, it's quite the opposite.
Activity and production in this world. All except babies. I mean, you know, have lots of babies, but that's all.
Yeah, right. At gunpoint.
And don't forget,
it's not an exaggeration, Ani.
Not an exaggeration.
No, that's what they're saying.
Point?
Yeah, that they should be kept pregnant at gunpoint if need be,
Who the
so
fuck
that the
said
baby
that?
survives. Yeah,
Who said that?
Vance,
The
the
Trump.
vice president. Yes.
Are
Yeah,
you
if you're not familiar with 2025 project, you should really look it up. It's 900 pages, but it's all about this kind of thing. And that women are only supposed to have babies. And it's not, he says, oh, it's not about women. It's really about the babies. We really want to make sure that the babies are okay. So we're not against women. We're just wanting babies to have. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also it's going to cripple scientific research
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
because it attacks science in a major way.
yeah.
And technologies, it specifically mentions technologies that are, I consider a fearful, attack to life on Earth. In other words, producing more nuclear weapons.
Yeah, yeah,
And AI itself is bad enough.
yeah.
And increasing, as they showed, robot armies and so forth. So it really is sort of the extreme opposite of whatever we've been talking about the last 3 years.
Yeah. No, if that, it's very much the Handmaid's Tale come to life. Yeah.
The Handmaiden what?
Handmaid's Tale. It's a book that was written and then serialized. And it's all about the women are raised to be baby factories, basically.
Christian, the premise is that Christian nationalism takes over at least part of the United States. Other parts of the United States secede and, are separate, but at least part of it, primarily the eastern states.
So sort of on the same line, I spent the morning with Humanity Rising talking about the Mayan calendar. And the guy who was doing that is really very interesting because he talks about sine waves, basically, that go through time. And he's got a lot of graphs that really show the upside and then the troughs, the valleys, the mountains and the valleys. And the plumed serpent is a graph that represents that. And he is saying that starting in 2011, there was this huge shift in consciousness and that's going to continue, but that there's this, we are in a valley right now. So all the negative stuff comes up. He says, and it will be like that till 2030 when things will shift again. So it was just very interesting. Let's see, I can tell you his name in just a minute. Carl Johan Kalleman, Kalleman. He's got a bunch of books. Really very thoughtful. His website is CALLEMAN.com. I love the Mayan viewpoint very much because it's so much about consciousness and it has such a long view, both forward and back. So he is positing that there are we have gone through 4 different levels. We're entering, or 8 different levels. We're entering the 9th, and then there's 2 more in the graphs that he shows. But he didn't give timelines for that in this presentation. So just very interesting stuff and kind of worth it. Gives you hope, even though it may look dark in the immediate future, that will rise again. I mean, life loves life, so it will come back. I have no doubt, but how dark it's going to be, we will see after November. And see who votes. It's all about that. So.
Well, we have a responsibility in our daily living. We're not just waiting. It's not just about politics and
No, but it will be easier for us or more difficult for us in November, depending on the politics, for sure.
Depending on what we do now, I would think. I mean, because us and now is what we have.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. I mean, that's enough. If we think about it a while, talk about it a while, and come up with something that is formidable.
Yeah, and there are just so many things like the Founding Mothers movement, and there's a new Mighty Network also. Which is the One World Introduction. I've been following them and involved with them and presented in their events for a number of years. Came World Unity, now the One World Introduction. And they're really coming together in a lot of ways. So it's a mighty network. It's free to join, and they bring a lot of folks together. So that's been.
And you say it's called One World Introduction?
Well, it's probably One World would be my guess, actually. Let me see. Yeah, it is just One World. So if you're on Mighty Networks, have it on your phone, which is the easiest way to get there, and just look for One World. And it's part of World Unity, Unite for Peace. They've just had a whole bunch of things that they're kind of putting together. So anyway, they're doing a call for connection and stuff. So the last year they put on 99 days of some of activation or something. So you made a promise that you were going to have an achievement in 99 days. And people put in lists of what they were going to do and what things they wanted to see happen in that 99 days. And then they work through that and reported on what has happened and that kind of stuff. So this is an extension of that.
Nice.
But, yeah, and we shouldn't forget that this isn't just happening in this country.
Right,
No,
it's worldwide.
It isn't just November 7th.
Yeah.
It's actually wouldn't be an installation of a new president until January, what is it, 17th or 20th?
Yeah.
But it's happening all over the world.
Yeah, and there's elections
there are
all over.
nationalist movements in virtually every country.
Yep.
I'm looking for a focus that I can energize that affects the political realm.
Well, maybe Founding Mothers is it.
Founding Mothers. Okay, good. Right.
That world.
I will send you that material for sure. And and I would hazard to say that I think Laura George is very easy to speak to.
Who?
Reverend Laura George.
Laura George. Okay.
I just had this sense about her and started writing, and we started sharing, emails, and realized that we had something in common. And so, been sort of trailing along, but she's a very active. She's really put a lot of her heart into building this peace network.
Mm-hmm.
The Peace Pentagon. Anyway, I'll send you that material as soon as we get off. Good. And the One World, I'll do some exploration on that. I'm actually, personally not looking for a place to, to work, because very much involved with the group. There's no name to it, but former emissaries. We're deeply involved with each other in a deep exploration of what it takes to shift consciousness, our own as well as beyond. We do a lot with radiation. We call attunement, but radiation out into the world. In many different shapes and forms. and there are hundreds involved. I don't know how
Yep,
many
yeah,
exactly
yep.
or who involved, because
Yeah,
it's
light workers is another group similar.
it's a you know it's in at total essence, it was sort of surprising when this one fellow designated himself the spiritual director of the emissaries. And yet it fits, because he's a very good speaker, but he's one of the only declared leader within the entire network.
And he's self-declared.
And we're all adjusting and accept him, and love him. That's fine, but he doesn't lead the rest of us.
As I look at the political dynamics, I'm just so struck by the fact that the Democrats haven't put anything of attraction, nothing of attraction.
Well, they got to figure out who's going to be the leader.
You're
So
daggone right.
yeah, so that's once that's resolved, that will be helpful, but it's not resolved at this point.
When and where is the Democratic National Convention?
Well, when is the end of August 20th or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
But where, I don't remember.
yeah, I don't either.
I'll
Yeah.
look it up.
Because it's like, what are you doing? They haven't even put Kamala Harris on it, had her speak or anything. I mean,
Well, they put her up a little bit, but not near as much as they should have.
right.
And I don't think there's a lot of energy behind her, period.
No,
And Biden had energy, but now he doesn't.
not at all.
So
I mean, I just saw that he's got COVID.
yeah, well, I think, and I don't know what that says about anything. All people get COVID, but he I think that they would be wise to do a whole new ticket, but I don't know if that will happen. I don't know if there's enough structure in the party to actually bring somebody forward with any sort of strong backing. That's the problem. So there's fractions. There's people who would do this and people who would do that, but nobody with real oomph. So we'll see. And it's that very fracturing that could allow Trump to get through, because there's just not enough unity on the other side.
Well, they have a month,
Yeah, yes.
because actually exactly a month, August 19th to the 22nd in Chicago.
Yep. So
Boy, I wish it were here.
yeah.
I would get involved. But I am gonna research if there's what the Democratic Party in Santa Barbara is doing, or is
Yeah,
it,
there must be something.
I am gonna find that out.
What's the women's group?
I mean, League of Women Voters.
League of Women Voters. That would be another group on it if you really want. They require a lot of time, though.
What's the group again? You said,
The League of Women Voters.
oh,
And
They do a ton of stuff.
but you don't hear about them as much now. So I don't know much about where they are now. I mean, like 20 years ago, they were huge.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. Yeah, because it's getting serious now. We're talking about possible people in charge whose main intention is anti-democratic.
Yeah. They're totally gonna rip up to democracy and put it into little pieces. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep.
And remember, these are also people who deny, total rights to, 1/2 of the population,
Right.
half, and then actually more like 3/4 of the population of the earth, because they also deny it to anyone of color. And they also deny life in the sense that, global warming is a hoax. And, we were here to exploit the earth to the, because, they actually believe that a mechanized, from what I understand, there's a lot of agreement in how these movies are made about a dystopic, future of just city everywhere, built up city with virtually no nature left, which couldn't exist, by the way, because
Yeah.
oxygen would fall to
Yeah.
whatever, I don't know what it would fall to, but it would fall to less than the level that we require currently to breathe and live. So I mean, it's totally insane. It makes no sense whatsoever, and to me it kind of represents, the consciousness of humanity at this point. And a number of us, the three of us here, I would definitely include, are seeing, the short-sightedness of this and just how, misguided it is. And I have no way of knowing how many, what the percentage really is. But I do know an awful lot of people are walking that fine razor's edge right now and are disturbed enough to start wondering, what's really going on? Which side do I belong on? What,
Right.
all the time, every group I'm involved in, people are talking about these things.
Yeah. They just really need a clear option, which is what they're not getting at this point. That's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. Because if you see something that's clear versus something that's murky, you're going to go for clarity. At least you know what it is versus something that you have no idea. And I think there's this, blind optimism of, oh, they can't really mean that.
Well, and there's also the blind optimism that, our society will continue just as it's been for the last 50 years. There's no suffering,
and I see that with climate change. It's like, oh yeah, it's going to happen, but we're going to do this and it'll be fine.
Which is total bull.
Understand.
That can't happen for a number of different reasons. And so there are a lot of clear answers out there, but nobody's put together the entire package, which is clear assessment of what's going on, along with a clear assessment of, what might come your way in terms of hardship. And, accept that, and you begin to open your mind to the fact that, we're really living at the edge of a huge cliff.
Well, and it's still so murky about what to do about it. That's the other thing. And, the survivor folks, whether they're positive survivors or negative survivors, where the negative survivors are, I'm going to survive, I don't care about anybody else, I'm doing all this stuff. And the positive folks are, we're doing communities and we're going to survive as a group. But they're just a bunch of folks doing things. There's no cohesion or connection between a lot of them. They're all separate, doing their own thing in many ways.
To me, it's a simple fact of relationship. Relationship with nature.
And with each other, but that ain't easy.
Well, it's easy letting it devolve into something we can't live in.
Yeah, no, it's certainly a better alternative.
I mean, it truly is like the frog in the warm water with the heat turned on. I mean,
Yeah.
there's plenty of dire occurrences out there if you keep track of them. I mean, mass media doesn't cover a lot of it, but in terms of the climate, in terms of what's happening at the poles, in terms of, even oxygen, the mix
In the
of
ocean.
in the oceans, the heat in
Yeah.
the oceans, the currents. There's just so many different tipping points that are being recognized, and we're getting closer and closer.
Yeah, they
And
just added a 10th.
The heat's, they just added a 10th. So the heat is being, increased, but so far it's still quite livable and,
Well,
feeling.
and I enjoy it's been wonderful here. Santa Barbara's perfect. So, I mean, it's like, it's great. What's your problem?
And Atlanta's kind of perfect. I mean,
Yeah, no snow. That's not all bad.
there may not be a lot of birds left, but we have we're surrounded by a mini forest, and our gardens on 2.5 acres. We have a townhome community of homes, but we have that much land in common, and we have these forest remnants. So we got loads of birds and insects. Comparatively, you go to other parts of the city and you don't hear a peep.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I'm actually welcoming the birds on the blueberry bush. I was getting concerned because a couple of years ago, I started noticing that, wait a minute, about 2 weeks in to the blueberry season, the birds should have arrived because they come and they clean the tree off. That's, remember, from 15 years ago. And they're here, they're back again, but not near the numbers.
Yeah.
The berries are not being cleared off. So we have a bumper crop, it seems. No, it's the same, but it used to feed a lot more wildlife.
Did you all experience a power outage last night?
No, but there was one today in the city. That's throughout the city. That's why.
Throughout the world, actually, it seems to be, because there was a update in a software thing that didn't go right. And so it's impacted airlines and hospitals and just all financial institutions worldwide.
Because the electricity was off here last night.
Yeah, it could have been part of it. Yeah, it just depends on what software they're using. Yeah.
Interesting times. But the go-to for me is nature, relationship with nature, turning my attention to the relationship that I have with the trees outside my window, patio. And every evening I just sit and commune as the sun goes down and the trees are beginning to still.
Yeah, well, and that's why I like the biotic pump so much, because it's actually a hands-on, we can do something and you get to see the product. If you plant a mini forest, you get to see that happen and grow and feel a sense of accomplishment. Know that you did it. I think those are important things.
What's that experience for? What are you aware of as you behold it in a meditative?
Well, the biotic pump is how the earth cools. So if you are contributing to that, you're helping the earth cool herself, which is definitely a thing that's needed. We have way too much heat. And if we don't have water circulating through the planet, which means through the soil and into the air and through the soil and into the air, we won't have rain. So the biotic pump makes rain happen. And you have to plant forests in order to, that's the pump piece. So it's soil and forests and land, and you make them work right and you cool your space. So you can make where you live cooler. Pretty useful.
That's important.
And it's also pretty widely misunderstood.
Not understood, yeah.
And I'm thinking of some of those dystopic movies, because I have watched a few, and they show it raining. But if there's no plant life on Earth, it's not going to be raining.
Well, it can rain, but the rain won't stay. It'll go away. So
Yeah.
that's what flooding is. You get all this water, but then it goes away because the soil is not, and the land is not strong enough to hold it. So if the soil is dead, you can get rain, but it won't sink in. And so it goes into the lakes and rivers and the ocean. And I mean, it's not good enough that it comes. It has to stay. You have to keep the water you get, or it really doesn't matter. You just get inundated. And, you know, in the old times, they were very conscious of that there was a time they got rain and a time they didn't. So they kept the water they got. They had cisterns, they had ponds that they would make, all sorts of ways to keep the water there so that they had it in dry times. But we're not doing that. And the constant heating means there's more water in the air. So it does want to come down, but it doesn't matter if it comes down if it doesn't stay. That's one of the missing pieces. That's one, and you have to plan for that, because when it does come, you want to keep it. So there's work to be done before you get it, to make sure that it stays. And yeah.
Now you're in an organization whose focus that is, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is it called?
Soil Smart, Soil Wise.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Right. How is that doing? That's
well, we're trucking along. It's doing as well as I am. So, and I have to figure out how to put money into the organization outside of me, because that will give us the strength to do stuff. So yeah, we're just doing all those things, figuring it out.
And is it soilsmartsoilwise.org?
Yep. There's a hyphen between Soil Smart and Soil Wise.
Oh, I just wrote it with a comma.
Yeah, it probably won't get you there. You can put it all together and do .com and still get there. So soilsmartsoilwise.com will also take you to the same website. Yeah, I'm really working at connecting us to a couple of things. And everything I've found so far has been on the East Coast. So I'm hoping I can find things on the West Coast, but that hasn't happened yet. There's a wonderful nationwide organization called the Homegrown National Park. And so their whole thing has been to get people to plant parks in their backyard, which is their, I have not heard anything about mini forests. They do native plants. They're big on native plants, but I've been trying to get to talk to somebody to see how deep they are. The guy who started it is very wise and has been really successful in what he's doing. So they keep track of the number of backyards that people plant in native plants, and they connect you to native plants in your area. They have a map that you can go on and put your backyard on the map to contribute and say how many acres or feet you've planted. And they did a thing with supporting another group that does that locally in the Washington, D.C. area, called backyardbounty.net. And so they really help people shift their property to native plants. And they've got all these beautiful photographs of lush places that are all native plants. So they're not anti-grass exactly, but they're looking at native plants. And if you do enough native plants, you really don't need grass. And it's beautiful. So I'm hoping to partner with them also to give these people who've promised here that they wanted to take care of their soil a direction in which to go that's not just dig up your grass and put in mulch. Yeah, because we need the biodiversity for native plants. I mean, that's the piece, one of the pieces that's really missing from use less water strategies, is that they don't want you to put in plants. They don't want you to put in plants that take water. And they don't really understand the water cycle. So you're reducing the biodiversity, you're reducing the porosity of your soil because you're not doing anything about soil. They usually don't talk about soil at all. So it's not really helping. It's just shifting things, but it's not helping.
And what is that organization that's not on?
Well, in Spokane, it's the city's department for stormwater, and they have a program called WaterWise, which is very highly respected, and they're very active in getting people to reduce water use. We are very lavish with water here in Spokane. We use 53 million gallons of water a year, which is about twice a city of our size should use. But we get 17 billion gallons. So we get a ton of water if we kept it. And if we kept it in the ground, we wouldn't need to water. We would use less.
You would what? Water?
If we kept the water in the ground, we would not need to use water to water our plants. We wouldn't need to do that because the ground would already have the water that it needs. So we would use less water, even though we're keeping more. But yes, anyway, that's the lesson I'm trying to get through to the city.
Good, good. Mm.
Yeah, the problem, is so well integrated with, the consciousness that we all carry, to sort of organize everything and not to leave anything to chance, particularly not to nature, which is scary. So that it's reflected in zoning and all kinds of planning mechanisms. And just the way we use our automobiles. I mean, it's incredible what that does to divide areas.
Yeah. Freeway
the
systems and all of that.
The reason our property is so amazing is that it was a planned unit development that was created because it was 2.5 acres, but it had this stream running through it, along with drainage ditches that qualify as state waters because they're filled most of the time. So they're very strict zoning laws as to how close you can build to those. So in this 2.5 acres, which could hold, 1,000 units in a high rise, only holds 13 townhomes, small ones. And, 3/4 of the property is park-like.
Yeah. Well, have you looked at Village Homes?
Forever.
Have you looked at Village Homes? There's lots of pictures on my website of it, and it's just an amazing subdivision. It's 60 acres.
Yeah.
250 homes, 25 multi-family dwellings, 8 businesses, and no runoff.
Well, and those are consciously created.
Yes,
This
very
one was
consciously created.
absolutely a mistake.
Yep.
In other words, the contractor was trying to get as much money as he possibly could out of it. And he
Right.
happened to grease enough palms down at the county, building that he got this PUD approved. And well, we love it because of what's possible, but and also we're almost, totally insured to not ever be overrun by investors, because these little houses are never going to be worth that much, and you can't do much else.
Yeah.
No, half the houses are already in don't comply with the existing setbacks from state water courses. So they're supposed to be a certain distance away from the riparian
Right.
growth. So in that way, we're kind of safe. I love it here.
Yeah, no, it would be great. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's what I've seen in Detroit and in Denver. There are these little pockets of just amazing stuff all over the city because they kind of got forgotten, or somebody just developed this little thing on a whim, and so nobody paid much attention because it wasn't a big thing. It was just a little thing. So they didn't really pay attention to it. So there's some really wonderful places to live, but you have to search them out. Yeah. Yeah, cul-de-sacs and dead ends and all sorts of things, but they're quite rural feeling. Lots of plants, lots of wildlife, all of that. Yeah, right in the middle of the city. Yeah, Denver has a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah, the interesting emphasis here is that they were all sort of mistakes.
Yeah.
According to the, the common way of thinking. Yeah, it's very sad. I mean, people drive through here just to look at our little houses because they're cute. And a lot of people think that property, which the stream through it, which is our front yard, think that it's a public park.
Robert, put your address in the chat, if you would.
Yeah.
Because part of what we're trying to do is to talk to developers about the benefits of doing that. We're in the process of putting together a presentation to make to the affordable housing builders here about how they could build affordable housing in a way that is a strength in the future instead of a detriment. So creating the ability for the land to hold water, planting forests so that it's cool, so that we don't get into the heat islands and all that kind of stuff, plus all of the benefits that nature offers to people, especially affordable housing people who have so many crises in their life anyway. So this really helps them deal with that kind of stuff, create safe places, spaces where people feel peaceful and all of that. There's just so many biological benefits for being in nature. And this could be done with affordable housing and save them costs in building at the same time, which could mitigate against the fear that they won't be able to build as many units. And there's some question as to how many units they would quote unquote lose, whether that's really a concern or not. I mean, if you're going to flatten it and build a high rise, with 75 floors and all that, yes, you can put in more units. That's absolutely true. But if you want a living space and you want to deal with the climate issues that are coming, then you need to start building in ways that really support that. So you want the building itself to make as much use of the heating and cooling that the earth offers without energy use. So it's building and designing in that way, and then making sure that the land supports that. So anyway, so we're trying to create a presentation around that we can offer to
Yeah,
folks.
you know, some of the things, some of the blind spots that you have to get around is the idea that the labor pool, at least in Atlanta, I mean, it actually does differ around the country, but in Atlanta right now, everyone's, the whole carpenter pool got winnowed out, and white people got out in 2007 and 8, and basically Latinx men, you know, came in, and they had to learn. They had a strong learning curve, but it was all about, you know, just churning the work out. So that's one. Another one is materials. You know, certain materials, you know, have a better price to, you know, effectiveness ratio than others. So everyone's building the same thing. Then, of course, they're all building 4,000 square foot, 2-story big boxes because they can make, you know, $100,000 profit on that, whereas they'd only be able to make maybe $25,000 profit on a small house. So
Yeah.
no 2-bedroom houses are being built at all, but
Wow.
only apartments are being built. And
What
so,
about building with steel? What are your thoughts on that? Because Carl's really a strong proponent, and there's a green steel. It's made without as much waste and heat as the other steel, and he feels that it's actually much better because it saves trees. It's more durable, and it can be sort of mass produced in fixed lengths and that kind of stuff. So there's very little waste.
two things: the initial cost is more, and a lot of these guys are prompted by first costs.
Right.
And the other is that you know, the labor that's used to building with those with steel is less than the wood.
That's probably true. Yeah.
And
I
then
will
the
mention
knowledge
those to
about
him.
wood.
Yeah, I'd like to get you two guys together to talk. It would be really fun. I think you'd find a lot of,
Oh, I've joined in.
yeah.
I mean, I'm getting a little stale because I've been separated for a few years now. And I don't think back on it that much. But then again, there is a lot of knowledge that is instilled that, you know, comes back as soon as I get talking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and Carl's very much about passive heat and that kind of stuff, and really
Oh,
how
I
to,
love that. I love
and he's
that.
very much into retrofitting now, you know, older places so that you can utilize these kinds of thoughts. Yeah,
I
I think
mean,
you'd have
in
a great
the
time.
70s and early 80s, we did nothing but passive,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
kinds of aspects of passive design, you know, heating, cooling, you know, and natural, you know, even how you landscape your lawn.
yes, yeah, 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 yeah. East,
Passive
west, and
designs
all of
there
that.
too.
Yep.
And then basically Reagan came in and killed it.
Yeah. Yay.
I don't think, and it's like Trump, I don't think Reagan was the sole, you know, instigator here.
Oh, I don't think he was an instigator. I think he was a puppet.
He just rode the crest of a a public turn of, you know, acceptance, turn of consciousness, and it was severe in the 80s. You know, like, hell with you! I want my gas guzzler. I want.
The American way of life.
Yeah, and of course that's happening now. That's
Yeah.
principally
Yeah.
what surrounds Trump and
The
Vance.
orange one.
I was going to say something like that. And I said, oh, I should be more dignified.
No, the orange turnip is what I call him.
I called him the orange top the other day. My wife just collapse laughing.
Robert, what's your zip code?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Just say it.
Oh, I get used to, there we go.
Okay.
I'm getting quicker at utilizing this whole thing.
30319.
Now, South Garden Court is our little street, our driveway, but it's
Okay.
all, we call ourselves South Garden.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look at you on the Google Earth. I'm trying to collect pictures of real-time areas that kind of mimic what we're talking about so people can really relate to it. Because when you talk about things like this, their minds don't really understand how different it is, and they don't understand how inviting it is. And you just picture weird stuff, or yeah, you just don't get it. So pictures really help. Yeah, I was just thrilled with the backyards for Backyard Bounty, because they're just front yards. I mean, they're just so lovely. It's like you can't go, I don't want that. In fact, that's what happens. You go, oh, it looks really nice. I'd like to do something like that. And you don't understand what you're really looking at. So I think that's pretty neat. You get out of those biases.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. Yeah, you'll see all the trees. Actually, it's taken in the fall, so some of the trees have lost their leaves.
Uh,
And then over on the far right is our like 4,000 to 5,000 square foot garden against the eastern property line, because it was just a kudzu farm when we got there. You know, when I got there 18 years ago. So we cleared all the kudzu and nobody else was using the land. So we do.
yeah.
I mean, and then, you know, it's open to anyone in the community, but really not many people are interested.
When I started riding the bus, you know, when I didn't have a car anymore and I started transportation on the bus, I just became aware of the trees in Santa
Yeah.
Barbara. And I found out that Santa Barbara is considered Tree City.
Yeah.
The trees here are amazing and plentiful. And I take pictures of them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Robert, it looks like your whole area actually is pretty amazing with trees just in that section.
Yeah, you look to some of the other yards and they're just stripped.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what's kind of interesting with Village Homes is right next door is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just you can just see the difference in the two. Yeah. And how they use land.
Well,
Yeah.
let me just tell you one nice thing that's happened.
Yes.
I started years ago helping out at the local elementary school and helping the principal out, and then the school was moved. We actually, if you look at the map there off to the lower left, that's a brand new school, elementary school, and that was built
okay.
2 years ago.
Cool.
So
They took out all the trees.
oh yeah, that used to be a park.
Yeah.
A lot of people come, you know, the parents drive their kids to school and then they sometimes come through our cut through, and that's our driveway. We don't want them cutting through. So we would get out there and try to flag. Anyway, to make a long story short, I would write reports and send it to the principal. And my final report was, I said, I got to admit, your parents really have this down. They're working this out beautifully, but I suggest they're walking through the mud on the edge of our property, and then they're crossing this one street, Skyland, that is a, real mess because of all the commuters trying to get through, and then 50 cars backed up in every direction to go into the school. I said, you need a crosswalk. Well, lo and behold, we found out a week and a half ago that principal had been talking to the city and got them they're putting in a sidewalk right now in time for the new school. Well, they also then agreed to do the entry skirts to our South Garden Drive court, which saves us $15,000.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
and plus the hill drops off so quickly from the street that the sidewalk they're putting in can't just be a slab on grade, but it'll actually be wood so that it spans over some tree roots, and it will have railings. So we've been wanting to put in a fence for quite a while to fence off our lawn access. Sort of say to people, this is private, stay out. And now we'll have one.
Oh, nice. I don't see the river.
What's that?
I don't see your creek.
What you're looking at that I can't see?
Well, we're both looking at the Google Earth, or the Google Maps.
Okay. Oh.
It's not.
There you are. There's his house.
Your house. Okay.
See, the problem with the creek is that it's in the dark areas under the trees.
There's the school.
The lawn actually passes over a 48-inch culvert, which I had to replace. $25,000.
Now I've lost you.
Go to your left. Downhill.
There you are.
Yeah. So there it is. Okay, now go to your right. No, go to your left. Sorry. Okay, hold it back. Go back. No, the other way. So those are the fronts of our little houses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, push upward. Oh, I see. Then push downward. Yeah. Okay, hold it. You see that lawn? The grass there, that bridges over the crack. Basically, the creek. Basically, what happened? This is Canmont Drive, that runs through on the foreground, and Canmont Drive becomes a raging river when we have, a 1 or 2 inch rainfall.
Right.
And all of it goes into into a series of spillways and culverts. And the culverts go under that part of the lawn, but then there's a stream to the left of that grass that becomes a raging torrent when it rains. Otherwise, it is spring-fed, but it's pretty gentle the rest of the time.
So the spring would be in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, you could probably put holes in that and direct some of that water there and here. That's a trick. It's illegal, but that's a trick that started in Tucson. So Bert Lawrence did. You put holes in the curbs so that when the water runs down the street, it will run out of and into where you have trees. So the trees will get watered.
Well, that's basically happening at our level because the curbs are pretty low and it overflows everywhere. But up above, they're not getting anything
Yeah.
because it's a lawn and concrete jungle.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, because when I first moved here 18 years ago, there were all those lawns that are to
All this.
Canmont is there. That was just covered with a canopy of trees, and they've all been taken out.
Yeah, and this is pretty poor right here too.
Yeah,
It's
they
all
they,
that
they,
section.
they took out all the big trees in order to put those in.
Isn't Google Earth wonderful?
I know, I use it a lot. There's my Honda CRV.
Right here.
Yeah, it's kind of distorted.
Yeah.
And that blob, I think, must be my wife's Prius. Oh, this was taken way back in 2013.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot has changed.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
years. A lot.
Is that ocean in the background?
No.
No, it's got to be.
No, it's probably just haze.
Probably what?
Hazy air, because it's we're in a big city area. And it's not flat, it's very hilly, but they're not high hills. The mountains are quite a ways to the north. Boy, that's really something.
I'm surprised it's so distorted. Maybe it's because it's old.
Yeah, Google Maps is a little different. That would be clearer. And the Google Map view that I'm seeing now was what is it? I think it was done this year.
Yeah. Okay. I'm surprised they haven't updated it, actually.
My Honda's still there.
I'm curious as to what those formations are.
Oh, those are trees.
Yeah,
They're all just distorted.
they just get, yeah.
See?
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is so old, the technology has changed. There's the elementary school he was talking about.
Okay.
Kind of fun.
So all you have to do is go to Google Earth.
Well, that's what I was using. Yeah. And it's an app you download on your computer. So if you're sensitive about your computer, you might want to do that, but you could probably go to the library. And they might have it on their computers and you can play with it. You can put in any address and it'll take you right there, any place in the world. You can put in monuments, you can put in buildings that you know about, whatever, and it will take you right there. So you can travel the world and see all these things. You will walk down the streets of Mumbai.
And why wouldn't you want to do that on your own computer?
Because you can't do it. You have to have the technology because they spent all the money to take all the photographs to put it together umpteen years ago when they were a new company. And they actually have Google underwater. So you can actually go into the ocean and see stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
That
a fun
was
thing
fun.
to do.
Well, let me get going. I'm gonna send you the First Mothers, what's it called? First
Founding
Mothers,
Mothers movement.
Founding Mothers.
Founding
I'm gonna
mothers.net.
send you that right now, and I gotta get some other things done. That was fun,
It's been good being with you both.
definitely.
So see you next week, if not before.
All right.
Okay, I should have done this so that you could actually see it. I'm sorry.
What? See
What's
what?
that?
So let me do a share of my mouse will collaborate with me. So we just looked at where Robert lives. This is where I live.
Oh,
See a
good.
difference?
Oh. Goodness.
So this is where I live.
I see a few trees around where
Oh
you
yeah,
are.
yeah. Well, and I had a whole bunch of trees at one time, but my landlord got rid of most of them.
Would you do where I live too?
Sure.
Which house are you in?
Well, that's what I'm trying to see because it's really hard. Okay, so that's Liberty. And what is this street right here? You're not telling me what that is. Ah, okay. So we are here, right here. That's mine.
Cool.
It's a duplex.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're in the front right here. So this is my tree and his name is this, and this is my catalpa tree, and her name is Anasis
Oh.
or Alesis or something. I have to read it and I can't even say it right even then, but they have a different language. Yeah. That's all that's left of all the trees that used to be back here and back here and back here. Oh, there was a sprite that lived in a elm back here. That was just, and the elm was really ugly, I have to say, but she was beautiful and she was just so mortified when they cut it down.
Oh.
Yeah, I took her and put her with another elm tree so she could kind of figure out where she was and what she was doing before after they cut her down. But so that was a help, but it was not. Yeah, it's kind of too bad. And yeah, this house right here is absolutely wonderful. And it's filled with trees. And the lady here wants them all cut down because they're messy. Right.
I know, that's what they do. That's what people.
Yeah. So Ani, what's your address?
4011 4011 Via Lucero, VIALUCERO, Santa Barbara, 93110.
93310.
93110.
Oh, yeah, okay, correct. Sorry.
So there you are.
Huh. But there's more trees than what shows there.
Well,
See,
this was taken in 1985.
yeah, El
So
Patio.
it's taken a long time ago.
Okay. Huh. That's not
That
very.
is, that's a lot older than most of their pictures.
Yeah, yeah, I'm surprised. I really am.
Yeah, that's not very.
But Google Earth wouldn't have the same incentive to keep, a fresh
Yeah, 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 yeah.
as
Google
as
Maps would.
as Google Maps is.
Yeah,
Huh.
that's quite a big. Um,
Housing community.
yeah, yeah,
Well, the thing is, there are a lot of trees, but they're not as tall. I mean, the trees around our house are 100 feet tall.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, these would be taller now. 20 years later, 30 years later.
Yeah, they could well be.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
Are those solar things?
Probably.
There's some over here.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because they did install some.
Hmm.
So where's your coffee shop?
State Street, main thoroughfare. This should be State Street right here. I don't,
Right here?
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, everything looks different from this angle, doesn't it?
Hook, line, and sinker, that's around the corner from me.
Right.
Yeah, because they sometimes the Dairy Mart data.
Hook, line, and sinker, yeah.
Yeah.
4011 BS0, right there.
There you are.
I wonder if I step out the door, if you could see me.
They were doing that at one point and they got sued for invasion of privacy.
Oh my.
Yeah. So if they do things in real time, they blur out people's faces and stuff because people were caught in liaisons and doing things they shouldn't do because they were at places where they shouldn't be at a time when they shouldn't be there. And you could see all that. And so they were told they were not to do that.
That's so funny. Okay, I'm going to take my leave. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bless you both. So, anything else, Kathryn?
No, we're just hanging in there.
Okay, well, let's continue doing what we're doing and becoming what we're becoming.
There you go. There you go.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.